All right, let's talk about carbs. Just saying the word carbohydrates can start a huge argument, right? Are they the enemy? Are they the essential fuel we're supposed to be eating? Well, today we're going to cut through all of that noise and get straight to the real science.
And I bet you've heard this phrase before, maybe from a personal trainer or you read it somewhere. It sounds kind of poetic, doesn't it? Fats burn in the flame of carbohydrates. But what on earth does that actually mean, biochemically? Well, that's the big puzzle we're going to solve together over the next few minutes. So to crack this code, we've got to start with the star of the show, the carbohydrate itself. Let's break down what it really is. At its core, think of a carbohydrate as your body's preferred high-octane fuel. When you eat carbs, your body breaks them down into glucose, and that glucose is like the gasoline that powers everything, from your brain working on a problem to your muscles firing during a workout. But here's where so many people get tripped up. Saying a carb is just, well, it's wrong. To really get it, you have to understand that there are two very different teams when it comes to carbohydrates. So let's meet the two teams. You've got simple carbs, who are like the sprinters, and then you have complex carbs, who are the marathon runners. One is built for a quick burst, and the other is all about that slow, steady endurance. And this chart really lays it all out. Simple carbs, your sugars, they hit your system like a flash of lightning. You get that quick spike in blood sugar, that burst of energy, but it's often followed by a pretty gnarly crash. Complex carbs, though, the starches and the fibers, they're completely different. They digest slowly, releasing energy gradually. Think of them like a slow-burning log in a fireplace, just giving you that consistent, reliable heat. So when we talk about fueling your body for the long haul, these are the guys you want on your team. We're talking about things like quinoa, oats, apples, broccoli, beans. All of these are loaded with fiber and nutrients, which makes them the smart choice for sustained energy and just better overall health. Okay, so now that we've got the basics of carbs down, we can finally get back to that old saying. Let's dive deep, right down into your cells, to see how this whole metabolic flame thing actually works. Here it is again. But this time, we have the background knowledge to see that this isn't just some catchy fitness mantra. No, this is a statement about a fundamental biochemical process happening in your body right now. Inside your cells, you've got these little energy factories, and the main engine in those factories is something called the Krebs cycle. You can think of it as the central furnace where your body forges energy. But this furnace has a very specific way it needs to be lit. And here's the magic. When you metabolize fat, it gets turned into a molecule that's basically a big, energy-dense log. But a log, no matter how great it is, doesn't just burst into flames. It needs a spark. And that spark? It comes from breaking down carbohydrates. The log from fat has to combine with the spark from carbs to even get into the furnace and be burned for energy. It's that simple. No spark, no fire. Which, of course, brings us to a really important question. What happens if you're not eating enough carbs? What happens when there isn't enough of that spark to go around? Well, you get what you can think of as a metabolic traffic jam. All those logs, the acetyl-CoA from fat, they just start piling up. They're ready and waiting to be burned, but they can't get into the furnace because there aren't enough sparks. The whole energy assembly line just gets clogged up. Now, your body is incredibly smart, and it has a backup plan. When this traffic jam happens, the liver steps in. It takes all those piled up logs and converts them into an alternative fuel source called ketone bodies. And that's exactly what the metabolic state of ketosis is, your body running on this backup generator when its main fuel source isn't available. Okay, so that's the cool biochemistry. But what does this mean for you? In real life, especially if you like to work out or stay active. Let's look at how this all plays out when you actually push your body. See, your muscles have their own little on-site fuel tanks, and they're filled with stored carbohydrates called glycogen. Anytime you do something intense, lift weights, go for a run, your body raids those glycogen stores for quick energy. And once the workout is done, those tanks are running low and need to be refilled. And get this, studies have shown that if you eat carbs after a workout, your muscles can replenish those fuel tanks up to 91% in just 6 hours. That's an incredibly fast turnaround. But look at the difference if you skip the carbs and just have water. In that same 6-hour period, your muscles only recover to about 75%. That's a huge gap that can totally affect how you feel and perform the next day. So the big takeaway here is that timing is everything. Getting some quality carbs in your system after you exercise is one of the single best things you can do to kickstart your recovery and make sure you're ready to go again. Okay, let's wrap this all up. If you're going to walk away from this with just a few key things to remember, here they are.
So here's the bottom line. Carbs are your body's #1 choice for fuel, period. They are absolutely essential for providing that spark to burn fat efficiently. You want to focus on complex carbs for that nice, sustained energy. If you're active, post-workout carbs are a game changer for recovery. And one last thing, having enough carbs actually protects your muscle tissue from being broken down for energy. That's a huge win.
So, maybe we've all been asking the wrong question this whole time. Instead of arguing about if carbs are good or bad, the much smarter conversation is about which carbs to eat and when to eat them. It's not about fear, it's about being strategic and using the right fuel at the right time to power your body and your goals.